Hi, everyone. It's Kristen Darcy, and we're here supporting everyone through NIAW, which is National Infertility Awareness Week. And the theme this year is Listen Up. And I just love listening to Jay, who's on the Google Hangout with me. But hi, Jay.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so happy you're here. I want to tell everybody a little bit about, I had the privilege of hearing you speak at Resolve of New England. You were the keynote speaker at the last big conference, which was amazing. You did such a great job of pacing and sharing, and it was just perfect. But Jennifer goes as Jay Palumbo, and she's a writer, a public speaker, infertility and women's right advocate, and author of the blog, The 2-Week Wait. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that. The director of member engagement at Progeny and a proud IVF mom. And you can follow her on her Twitter and through her blog, which will be under the video, and you can just click the link. So thank you, Jay, for this time and being here as we, bring awareness to infertility. And, so thank you so much.
That was a great experience. And, I remember you and I talking at the salad bar, like a couple of hours into the conference. And we had a quick exchange because we were both like running in different directions, but we were talking briefly about how the tone of humor really became like a theme for the whole day. And I think that was just so great. That was the best win that we could possibly hope for is keeping a sense of humor through infertility.
Right, because what ended up happening, of course, you kicked off the day with such healing energy of laughter, right? And then throughout my sessions, it just bubbled out, and it was almost as if you gave everyone permission, because we're knee deep in the mud when you're going through your fertility issues and trying to create your family, and it's so stressful and so serious, right?
Right.
That I think being able to find that part that you can laugh at, right?
I hope so. I mean, I was so nervous about striking the right balance for the speech, but so many people really said exactly what you said, that it kind of made, because it was the first thing in the morning. So like everyone had just woken up and we're talking about reproductive parts, literally over eggs and bacon. And luckily, thankfully, everyone really took it in the spirit that it was meant, that, that it's not at all being dismissive of how serious this is or how stressful it is, but how it really can be such a powerful coping tool to try to find some humor and to kind of, I think, make infertility lose its power a little bit if you can laugh at it, hopefully.
Right. And I know for me, way back when, and I devoured the Resolve newsletters, because they used to come in the mail sealed up really tight, so nobody knew what it was.
Like porn.
Yeah, it was like the porn of fertility. And I would read it cover to cover and digest everything, but I never went to a meeting because I wasn't as bad as all the other girls.
Oh,
in my mind, that denial, right?
Yeah.
But what I have, what you did so eloquently and so, with so much feeling and humor, was that we are a sisterhood. And we all, you're in your little house or your little puka, your little hole, thinking that you're the only one experiencing this.
Yeah.
And if you come out and join, listen up and join the conversation, there's hundreds more women feeling what you feel.
And understanding the same experience. I mean, if you tell someone who's very fertile, who's never had any issues, that you hate baby showers, they'll think you're maybe not a very nice person. But then if you tell someone who's gone through infertility, there's a shorthand, a level of understanding, you're right, that you just get with the community.
Right. So I used humor to get through my journey, and I finally started telling people what I would do. But so I was full-time working, like, we talk, the majority of women, it's like adding on another full-time job when you're going through fertility treatments, right? So I would play this mental game in my mind. I did actually write about it in Girlfriend to Girlfriend Fertility Companion, just to show how out there I was, right? I would drive almost 45 minutes to get to the clinic because there was no satellite where I lived. But I would play the game, beat the other infertility patients. I was going to be the winner every day. I was in a race with all the fertility challenged women, but they didn't know it, right? So
Right.
I knew I was the winner of the day if I got to go first, right? Because if you get there, wham, bam, get that ultrasound done, give the blood, then you're out, right? But if the timing was wrong, you had to wait, right?
Yeah, right. Right.
So literally, that was my victory. That was my control every day. Like literally, I thought I was like Rocky walking in there first. I'm the winner.
I love it though. I remember some of my friends, we were like cycle buddies and we were cycling at the same clinic. Two of my friends were, and then one was like a little off, but at the same clinic. And we used to hide stuff in the waiting room and do, what do they call it? Like a little map to find it.
Scavenger hunt?
Yes, exactly.
You did not, did you?
And hide it behind a chair and like give her hints to where it was.
Oh.
Everyone in the waiting room must have thought she was nuts because she's like looking to try to find what we left her from her early morning monitoring. I mean, really anything that buys you even 5 minutes of happiness, I think is worth it.
Yeah, and I finally said something to a friend of mine because literally, like I would get in the car laughing at myself because how, like you're hyped up on these drugs, right? You're on these hormones and you're trying to make sense of something that is really, you're like in the air, you're not grounded. And so whatever you could do to like get yourself through it, and that was mine. So I would play beat the other fertility challenged women, and then when they started coming in, you know, it was kind of like Shira, Princess of Power, and then I would start asking them like, hey, what are you in for? You know, what drugs you taking? How long have you taken those? You know what I mean? You're like, what are you in for?
Very popular in the waiting room. They're like,
no, I wish you were sitting next to me because we would have probably laughed at that, you know?
Well, most waiting rooms are so quiet. You know, no one wants to talk. They practically have, you know, like the fake eyeglasses and
blinders.
Yeah. And that's what was so great about actually having a psycho buddy too, because, you know, we'd go and, you know, try to have fun with it. But yeah, but you're right. Usually no one really talks. But I love the question, what are you in for?
Hey, what are you in for?
That's hilarious.
It took me about 2 cycles until this really sweet woman answered me.
Oh, really?
And then we became buddies forever. And so she actually ended up having a son, you know, pretty soon after I did. But it was like, what are you in for? How long did you take that? Do you use big needles? You know, like rapid fire, you know, like your interrogation.
Well, as long as you didn't put a light in her face, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to talk to you about your 2-week wait blog. God, where were you when I needed you, my friend?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because wow, you know?
Yeah, I love the 2-week wait, the term. And I just think it sounds so corny, but I think like life ends up being a series of 2-week waits, especially when you're going through infertility treatment. And whenever I talk about, because I train what we call patient care advocates at my job, and I tell them about the 2-week wait. And like on paper, it's okay in between when you ovulate, right, and when you find out when you're pregnant, or when they did the transfer and when you find out when you're pregnant. But it doesn't cover the hell,
right,
that is the 2-week wait, like so much more. And then for some people, the 2-week wait feels terminal, you know what I mean? Or never ending. It just, and I remember with me, the first week I was always okay. And by the second week, I would start to lose my mind. So I do think the 2-week wait, it's almost like you're gearing up for a marathon, and you're going to have to find anything to keep you sane through those 2 weeks. Oh, I hated them. I hated them.
I know. And then the dreaded that day to wait for the results.
Yeah.
The time just ticked and ticked and ticked. And, you know, the coping that you have and the resilience. Like, I marvel at the women that I get to speak with that are my clients, that I get to talk to, like you. Like, I just marvel at the stamina
Yeah.
The stamina to handle that, you know?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, when I think about, you know, in all the years that I've been doing, you know, fertility advocacy, there are some incredible stories. I mean, like nothing compared to mine. Do you know what I mean? Where these women are practically sawing themselves in half, volunteering, you know what I mean, paying to have this done. And you're right, the stamina, but also I just think the strength to be like, all right, you know, I'm putting on the big girl pants and getting back in there. I mean, they're some of the strongest people I've ever met. Truly, bar none. I mean, and I don't know where it comes from. Do you know what I mean? I don't know where.
I know, and it's you, and you look at that. You look at, well, I look at my clients, and I think, holy God, what a warrior! You know, like you know, Princess Warrior, man. You're just gonna, and it's that drive, it's that grace, it's the fortitude, it's the, yeah, they, you know, I had those moments I was on my knees, and I had those moments that I was, you know, not in a good place, and I write about them.
Right.
And then what is it? So I was a study of that. What is that just flips in your brain and you're like, nope, okay, I'm not done. You know, I am not done yet, and I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to keep moving. You know, it's just a powerful energy that I think is outside of us.
Yeah,
that is connected. Like your heart is connected to that energy, and they're like, nope, we're going to lift you up, and we're going to carry you through this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So how do you find yourself supporting your clients through that 2-week wait? I mean, I know your words, and I'm sure that you've used your words within what you do every day, you know, your personal experience and words. So, you know, I have a couple tips, but I would love for you to share one.
You know what? I'm going to say something. I know you find this shocking. That's a little crazy.
No.
I mean, I have such a reputation for being unconventional, but I still stand by what I'm about to say. And feel free to be like, you have lost your mind. But the Logo channel, RuPaul's Drag Race, I really recommend you watch that during the 2-week wait, because there's no baby commercials, no pregnancy commercials, no diaper commercials. All of the commercials are all about plant food, working out, hooking up with other people in the community. And nothing is better to me than RuPaul in drag during my 2-week wait. You better work. RuPaul was like my everything during all of my 2-week waits. And so none of the plot lines were about pregnancy. I mean, what could be more consuming and joyous than watching drag queens compete, really?
I love that.
But that's one of the first things I tell people is to watch the Logo channel, because it's not at all geared towards, you know, stay-at-home moms or, you know, anyone actively trying to conceive. So it was kind of like a parallel universe that wasn't geared towards conceiving. And RuPaul, yes, it's a little crazy. It's not usually one that you would read on most blogs about the 2-week wait, but that's one of my top pieces of advice.
See, I think we should just go with that one, because for me, it's like the escapism, right? You got to escape this. You gotta sometimes just take a break. I used to act as if that's how I handled it, you know, just act as if, what would I want to act as if today? You know, and, you know, just act as if.
I think buying yourself any moment of sanity, I do say that a lot, even if it's like, I really do think there's silly things sometimes that we all have that just makes us happy, whether it's I mean, even, I don't know, like Hubba Bubba gum for some reason.
No, I get it.
Or a lollipop, or watching the Golden Girls. They're not trying to conceive either, just to be clear.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and anything that you can do that even buys you just a little bit of happiness, I think, during that 2-week wait is is helpful. It's an investment in your sanity while you're trying to kind of get through it.
Like to hold your footing. See, when I talk about this everyday certainty system, and this is what I did, because I was always, I'm type A. I've mellowed with age, but so type A, like I needed to do something because I felt like if I wasn't doing anything, it wasn't going to happen, right? And I think a lot of us have that internal chatter that I got to do something. We got to do it. We got to do something to make this ball move forward, right? And so to really, just what you said, assign a nurturing item every day. Just assign yourself, you have to do something every day. And it could be Hubba Bubba, or it could be when you make your coffee, froth your milk. I've been doing that for so many years, and I swear to God, I'm off. If every day I don't heat up my milk in the microwave and froth it with my $14.99 milk frother and then put my coffee in it, if I don't do that every day, I'm just like,
yeah,
get out of my way.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be a good day. And a lot of women, especially when you're under the stress, you kind of fall out of love with yourself.
Yeah, I think too, I think you also judge yourself. It's so funny you should say that. I was thinking that too. I think there are a lot of people I've talked to, they're like, well, I'm supposed to go to this thing, but I don't feel like it. I think during the 2-week wait, not that I want to promote being antisocial, but if you need to take care of yourself and you need to not go to something, I mean, unless, I don't know, if it's someone's wedding, that would probably be awkward not to. But if it's, like a work function or, a little get together that you can maybe not do. I also think avoiding your mother-in-law completely during the 2-week wait is completely forgivable. I mean, really, well, depending on if your mother-in-law is lovely, but I think it's okay to be like, hey, I'm not a bad person if I take care of myself first right now. Like if that's what I need to keep myself sane, then that's what I need. And like you said, I think you get into a place where maybe you either judge yourself too harshly or you forget that you are more than your reproductive organs. You are still a lovely, fabulous person that has tons of other things in their life to offer. But I think it's okay to be forgiving of yourself, to be like, all right, I know this is a stressful time for me. What do I need to do to get through it? And I think be forgiving is huge.
It's amazing what the power of forgiveness was. So I'm pretty much on, the 10-year thing, because this is what I used to say to myself. 10 years from now, is anybody going to remember that I didn't go to this? That's what I would say. I would say 10 years from now, is anybody going to remember I wasn't at this thing? Because I can't even remember now 10 years ago where I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And here's it. They don't. They
Right.
really don't.
Yeah.
So that's the question I would say. 10 years from now, is this really going to matter? Is anybody really going to remember I didn't go to XYZ? No, they're not.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to use that now. And I don't even get invited anywhere these days, but I'm still going to use that now.
I do. And you know what? It dawned on me the other day. My son's 18. He's going off to college. And it's more than 10 years later. And it didn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So in our mind, we're so responsible. But
right.
That's what I'm saying, Jay. 10 years from now, it's not going to matter if you went or didn't go. Right now, the only job you have to do is take care of yourself. And
I think that's a big reminder too for people during that, because like you said, I think they get into a state where I don't know. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I know when I was going through infertility treatment actively, I just felt like a failure.
Yeah.
I think you start to just continue to make a case against yourself. You're like, well, now I'm not going to this thing, and now I'm a complete failure about that. But it's okay. It's just it's okay. I mean, my therapist used to say kind of like what you were saying. So what? And when you kind of follow those steps, like, so what if I don't go? So what if I need to stay home today, to kind of feel better about things, so what? Again, you have to put yourself first, and you have to be okay with that. And I think it's a challenge for people. I think they feel a lot of judgment and a lot of guilt. And I do think infertility can kind of eat away at your social life to begin with.
Right.
But those 2 weeks, like we're talking, are really tough. And they're really hard to explain to someone who hasn't been through it. But
get it.
It is, you could drive yourself crazy.
Well, you know what's so amazing about those 2-week wait? You're actually, kind of afterwards, I figured out, you're in between two worlds during those 2-week waits.
Yeah, right.
You're in between your past and your future.
Yeah,
and
right.
You're plump right in there, and it's so uncomfortable. It's so emotional. It's all those things, right? So it's almost like you're in the gap, like you're holding your breath. And
right, you don't know what's going to be next. And the thing that everyone always does, and I definitely learned firsthand, they analyze every single twinge, headache, pain, I mean, anything. And the thing I've learned, between being PMS, possibly being pregnant, the progesterone supplements, you will never figure it out. I wouldn't even try. But I do think that was something that my first, I think, cycle, maybe even my second cycle, I was trying to analyze everything.
Right.
On my third cycle, I'm like, oh, Jesus, like, I have no idea.
Right.
Because it really is impossible. But
no, it is. And at first, when I kept a journal, a log, like I was Star Trek. Kristen's journal log entry today. I felt a cramp. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I would giggle at myself afterwards. And that's where the humor came in. You're right. Like, I'm hoping you don't have to go to 3, but by your third one, you're like, just not do whatever you need to do. Get the job done, but
there was a person I was cycling with at the time, and she would ask me, we literally were having such a similar, blood work, the retreat.
Yeah.
And she would ask me, so what's your E2? And I'm like, I have no idea. Because the thing is, even if you find out, let's say it's I don't know, a low E2 or a high E2, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I can't go home and work on my E2. Like, I don't know. So I kind of think anything like that, like getting over analytical, really trying to figure out, all of a sudden I'm in the mood for, I don't know, cupcakes. What does that mean? And I Google that, like, oh, I want cupcakes today. I wonder if that means something. Right. You can find anything on the internet to support anything. So I just think you're better off being like, I don't know, and I have to be okay with not knowing for 2 weeks. Kind of like you said, you're in between two worlds, but I mean, that's just the way it's going to have to be. Because if you try to figure it out every single moment, oh my God, you're going to lose your mind.
Well, I was working full time, and like I said, and what I decided to do is I took a whole bunch of sticky notes, and I would write down those thoughts, and then stick it on my computer, and then give myself permission to look at them, and not try to shut the thought off, because that's when you get into a problem. But acknowledge the thought, jot it down, because you're triggering both sides of your brain, and then you stick it, and then you give yourself 15 minutes or whatever time you need to review them. And bringing back in the humor, I would read some of the things I put on, on the little sticky note. People I worked with would not come into my office. They would like look at the computer to see how much stuff was around it. And I would laugh. I was like, oh my God. Some of them I'm like, I'm driving a vehicle. Someone should not let me drive my car with these random thoughts that are going through.
Yeah. Well, too, I guess, to have a sense of humor about it when you look back at it, like, what was that?
Yeah, it was the fear. And I think if you boil it all down, when us women get angry or get in fear, we get sad.
Right. And I do think a lot of the women, as you called yourself, are type A. And when you can't control something, you can't control whether or not you're going to get pregnant or not. You just can't. And I think then you start trying to control anything, even if it's illogical.
Yeah.
Like what's my E2, or like writing something down, being like, okay, well, let me keep a journal. You're just trying to exercise some sort of control to make yourself feel powerless. I
get it. And that's why I was first in the line, damn it. Because I could control my freaking spot every day. I could.
I love that you were in an imaginary race.
Yeah. Yeah. And they didn't even know it.
Yeah. No.
That's what I say. Oh, they didn't even know it. But anyways, I so appreciate what you do. And do you want to give a little commercial about how people can find you and, all the great stuff that you have for support? And
No, I think, I hope my whole, I hate to use a word, but I can't think of another word right now, but I think my whole brand, I hope, and I know sometimes I can offend people because I do make a lot of jokes. But like you said, that comes from a place of fear and pain. And I know with every fiber in my being, the advocate that I am today, and this is kind of like what I was saying at the conference, is not the person when I was trying to conceive.
Right.
When I was trying to conceive, I mean, there were days where I wouldn't get out of bed. I would manage to keep a sense of humor, but I was definitely more antisocial. I was less outspoken. I was more depressed. And the thing, kind of in keeping with Resolve's theme about listening up, the thing is, people like you and me and a lot of other advocates, no matter what happened with our journey, whether, we ended up being child-free or having children, if we're in a place now to be vocal for the people who are where we were a couple of years ago, I hope they can listen up to us, now, and hopefully just muddle through it. So I think my only commercial, really, if I was to do anything, is just do what you need to do to stay sane. And if my wacky sense of humor kind of helps, then fantastic. But if, engaging in imaginary races or journaling or watching RuPaul or anything, I really just think when you're in that much pain, whatever you can do to get through it,
right,
and still keep your sanity and sense of humor is the most important thing that you could possibly do.
I love that. I love that. And knowing the distinction of what you're feeling isn't who you are.
Oh yeah, God, that's really true. And I can't believe, anytime, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, probably more than me. There are times where you say to someone, this does not define you.
No.
And I think they forget, and I forgot. It felt like it was completely, like I said, I felt like a total failure. Like, this is the one thing I should be able to do, and I can't do it. But it really doesn't define anyone. It really doesn't.
No. And it's part of a learning. Like, if you think, gee, what am I learning about me? And what am I learning about my partner, if you have a partner? What am I learning about how I'm going to be in relation to this baby? What is, what's it kind of all about? Like, what is it when you can pop yourself out and look down at it? Like, what is it? What's going on here? Why is this happening? And the two questions I always talk about is, what do I feel? What do I need?
Right. What do I need, I think, is so huge.
Isn't it? I love that, because I don't know about you, but I was never taught as a girl to ask myself, what do I need?
Yeah, no. Well, even, it's funny, I had a whole conversation with my father, of all people, recently about mothers. And I was thinking about the way most people define a good mother is how selfless they are.
Right.
They usually, they're like, oh, everything was for her kids. Everything was for her husband. Everything was for the job. And I was thinking, I wonder if there'll ever be a time where we'll redefine that, where it's okay to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help others. And I think because women are dealing usually with the brunt of infertility, you're the one taking the injections. You're the one whose hormones are really being manipulated. The men have the fun part. I think it's even more important to say, what do I need right now? Yeah.
Right. It's a powerful thing, because by saying that, you open yourself up to everything that can fill in that void. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's different with the millenniums. I really do. I think it's so different. And one thing I wanted to say is, when you said, oh, what do I do with those numbers and what's my numbers? I think for like the analogy, this is like a selfie right now. Do you know what I mean? This is like a selfie of what your hormones was. This is like a selfie of how your life is.
Yeah.
And you know what? Think of it like Snapchat. It's going to go away. You know what I mean? You'll remember it, but that's going to go away, and you're going to be okay.
Because now you got me thinking about millennials and what they're going to be like when they go through treatment. And I wonder if they're going to be like doing a selfie while getting a retrieval. Like, it may be a totally new.
No, it's very different. It's very different, but the emotions are the same.
Yeah.
Some of the clients that I have, and it's like, how can I know, like, I used to be wrapped around the axle about my numbers and all this stuff, but you know what? They're just really taking a selfie of you.
Yeah. That's adorable.
And you know what?
Yeah.
You're gonna take your lesson and move forward, because there's a beginning, middle, and end. And what we focused on is the middle, the 2-week wait.
Right.
And we're here to support you. And as much as you want to isolate yourself, and much as you want to stay hidden away, because I would leave my cart, in Target, someone, just abandoned the cart and run.
Yeah.
To reach out to Jay, read her blog, reach out. Not everybody's cup of tea, but there's,
Yeah. Or in your case, coffee with froth.
Frothy coffee. Well, I'm going to have everything's underneath to get a hold of you and talk to you. And I hope to God I get to see you next time when you're giving the keynote.
Oh, yeah, you too. I know we didn't get nearly enough time together last time. We were like
You're busy
in other directions. I know, but yes, we'll have to do that.
Okay, honey. Thank you so much. I love you. I love your humor. I love your light. And you do such great work. And I so appreciate you.
Thank you. And likewise. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. See you soon, honey.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.